Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions with your spiritual practice? Like you're doing the things, but not really feeling that deep connection you're searching for?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's like you're missing that spark.
Well, today we're diving into prayer, but not just the surface level stuff. We're going deep, exploring how it can become a powerful tool for real inner transformation and spiritual growth.
I'm excited to dig into this. I mean, the material you sent over was really thought-provoking, especially that whole concept of prayer not just being a ritual, but a dynamic force that can actually change us from the inside out.
It's like instead of just asking for things, we're stepping into this different state of being, what they call a prayerful mode, almost like a spiritual gym.
Yeah, I like that analogy. But it's not like flipping a switch, right? It takes effort to get there.
Exactly. It's about consciously shifting gears, creating a space where we can really connect. The Source even compares it to getting to the spirit of Shabbos, that feeling of peace and presence.
Or like being fully present with a child, really giving them your undivided attention.
Right. It's about letting go of all the mental noise and distractions, setting aside the day's baggage, and becoming fully receptive.
I think a key takeaway for anyone listening is this: intentionality. Before you even start praying, set an intention not just for the words you're going to say, but for the entire mental and emotional space you're entering, like almost like you're creating a sacred space within yourself.
That makes so much sense. It's not just about going through the motions, but really setting the stage for a deeper experience. Now, one of the things that really jumped out at me was this idea of prayer as a form of redemption, a way to liberate ourselves. And the Source uses this powerful connection to the Israelites in Egypt.
That's such a profound point. For so long they were enslaved, unable to truly connect with the divine. But the moment they began to cry out, to express their suffering, that was the very beginning of their liberation.
It's almost like giving voice to their pain, reaching out, was the first step towards breaking free.
Exactly. And the Source digs even deeper into the symbolism. You see, Avodas Perach, which means harsh labor, is connected to Parash, meaning weak mouth.
So their ability to speak, to express themselves, was stifled, suppressed.
Right. And then Pharaoh, he's linked to Para, a negative mouth. So it's all this negativity that's keeping them trapped. The inability to speak freely, both outwardly and inwardly, is a core part of their bondage.
Wow. And then, of course, Passover comes along. Pesach, the mouth speaks. Prayer becomes this incredible tool for release, for breaking free from our own personal Egypts, those inner limitations that hold us back.
It's not just about asking for things anymore. It's about redemption, healing, catharsis, allowing ourselves to express what's truly in our hearts, both the good and the bad. And in doing so, we find freedom.
This really adds a whole new dimension to prayer. It's not just about reciting words, but about tapping into this incredible power within. So let's talk about some practical tools. The Source emphasizes the importance of intention and focus, even suggesting that we actively listen to the sounds and vibrations of the words as we pray.
This really raises the question, how present are we when we pray? Are we just rushing through the words, or are we really tuning in? The suggestion is to be an active listener, even if you don't understand the language. Focus on the sounds, the rhythm, the vibrations. It can really bring a whole new level of intention and focus.
It's about being fully present, not just mentally, but even physically, feeling the vibrations of the words resonating within you.
Right, and there's this beautiful suggestion to choose a specific passage or verse each day and really meditate on it. The idea is to cultivate a taste of prayer, what they call tam tefillah or geschmack in Devanan.
I love that. It's not about quantity, but quality, savoring each word, each phrase, and allowing it to penetrate deeply.
And, the Baal Shem Tov, he had this amazing approach. He would say, before you even start reciting, hold the intention, the kavanah, clearly in your mind. And then as you speak the letters and sounds, you fully enter into them, feeling their energy. It's about moving beyond the intellectual and into a deeper, more embodied experience.
Wow, I love that. So it's about preparing the ground, setting the intention, and then allowing ourselves to be fully present with the words as they flow through us.
Yeah, it's a beautiful practice.
The Source also talks about how the simple, straightforward meanings of prayers and their more secret, deeper meanings are actually inseparable. It's like two sides of the same coin. So how does meditating on these deeper kavanahs, these intentions, enrich our prayer experience? I mean, For someone who's never even heard of Kavanaugh before, could you explain what that means?
It's a great question. Kavanaugh is this deep intention, the inner focus and awareness that we bring to our prayers. It's about going beyond just saying the words and really connecting with their deeper meaning and purpose. And, the more we study and contemplate those deeper meanings, the more they can infuse our hearts and minds, even if we're not consciously thinking about them during the actual prayer.
It's like setting the stage, preparing the soil, so to speak, for the seeds of prayer to take root and flourish.
Exactly. It's about creating that fertile ground within.
The text also goes into understanding divine names, particularly the Tetragrammaton. Could you explain what that is and why it's so important in prayer?
Sure. So the Tetragrammaton is the four-letter Hebrew name for God, Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, and it's considered the most sacred and elevated name, so much so that we don't pronounce it directly out of reverence.
Right. We usually say Hashem, which just means the name.
Exactly. But during prayer, we pronounce it as Adonai. And you often see Yud in the Siddur, the prayer book, which represents both these names. It's a reminder to hold both the ineffable, unknowable aspect of God and the way we connect with God in our personal prayers.
It's like recognizing both the vastness and the intimacy of the divine.
Exactly.
Now, even before we start speaking the words of prayer, the source introduces this practice called shoyim. It means waiting, being still, and quieting the mind.
I love this practice. It's so simple, yet so powerful. It's about taking a few moments before you even start praying to just settle your mind, let go of the mental chatter, and create a space of stillness within.
It's like creating a quiet inner sanctuary where we can meet the divine.
Yeah, just taking a few deep breaths, relaxing your body, and letting go of all those thoughts that are swirling around. It really makes a difference.
The source also mentions studying Torah, Kabbalah, Chasidus, or even reciting Psalms before prayer as a way to prepare our minds and focus on holiness. But it also cautions against overdoing it. It's about finding that balance, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to engage in spiritual study and practices, but we don't want to exhaust ourselves to the point where we're too tired to pray with real intention and energy. It's about finding that sweet spot.
Now, let's be real. One of the biggest challenges with prayer is distractions. Those pesky thoughts that just pop into our minds no matter how hard we try to focus.
Yeah.
What does the source say about dealing with these?
Oh, distractions. We all experience them. It's part of being human. But, the Shulchan Aruch, which is a major code of Jewish law, it gives this interesting advice. It says to gently pause when those thoughts come up and just let them pass without engaging in them. Don't fight them. Just observe them and let them go.
It's like that saying, resist and it persists. The more we try to push away those thoughts, the stronger they seem to become.
Right, and the Vilna Gaon, he had this great analogy. He said, stand still until the thought moves on. It's like those thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky. We don't need to grab onto them or try to control them. We just let them float by.
Speaking of letting go, there's that great story about the Maggid of Mezrich's disciple and Rabbi Aaron of Karlin. The disciple kept knocking on Rabbi Aaron's door for hours, but Rabbi Aaron didn't answer until morning.
Yes. It's a beautiful story about persistence, but it also speaks to this idea of non-resistance. Sometimes you just need to let those thoughts knock without engaging until they eventually fade away.
And there's this interesting idea that introspection during prayer can actually be valuable. The source sees prayer as a form of self-assessment, a time to look inward and see what's going on within us.
Right. The Hebrew word for prayer, tefillah, is actually related to words that mean judgment or to judge oneself. So prayer becomes this opportunity to reflect, to observe those thoughts and patterns that arise within us, and to discern between what aligns with our values and what doesn't.
That's like using prayer as a mirror to see ourselves more clearly.
Yeah. And those distracting thoughts, they might not just be random. They might be pointing to areas where we need to grow or pay attention.
So instead of getting frustrated, we can see them as opportunities for growth and self-awareness. The source also mentions some practical techniques for dealing with distractions, like using a nigun, a wordless melody, to help focus the mind.
Nigunim are incredible. They can really shift our state of mind. It's like they bypass the intellect and go straight to the heart.
And they can help clear away those mental cobwebs and open us up to a deeper experience of prayer. The source also suggests focusing on the words in the Siddur, really engaging with them visually.
Yeah, that can be really helpful too. It's like an anchor for our attention. It can keep us grounded and prevent those thoughts from wandering too far.
And then there's Reb Nachman of Breslov's teaching about clapping our hands to break negative thought patterns. That one really surprised me.
It's a bit unconventional, right? but there's something to it. It's like a physical way to interrupt those mental loops and clear the air.
It's like a little spiritual reset button.
I like that. And the Source also talks about this powerful concept called halas hamidos, the elevation of attributes. It's about recognizing that even seemingly negative thoughts and emotions actually have a root in a pure divine source.
So it's not about denying or suppressing those thoughts, but about transforming them, finding their deeper meaning and purpose.
Exactly. Like, for example, anger in its purest form is a desire for justice. And lust, in its purest form, is a longing for connection. So the practice involves identifying the underlying pure intention and redirecting it towards the divine.
It's about finding the good within the seemingly bad and using it to fuel our spiritual growth.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to put it.
There's also Reb Bunim of Shisha's approach, which is a little different. He talks about nullifying negative thoughts through a deeper Kavanah, a deeper intention, and by mindfully confronting them.
It's more about engaging with those thoughts directly, but from a place of detachment and awareness. You observe them, you see their true nature, and you realize how insignificant they really are.
So it's not about suppression, but about perspective.
Right. And the Source also emphasizes that what works for one person might not work for another. And even what works for us one day might not work the next. It's about being flexible and experimenting to find what helps us stay present and connected.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly. And there's this powerful idea that those disturbing thoughts or even difficult people, they can be seen as messengers.
Messengers.
Yeah. Instead of getting frustrated by them, we can choose to see them as reminders to deepen our focus and strengthen our commitment.
That's such a beautiful reframe. And the Baal Shem Tov, he even tells this parable about the palace guards. The idea is that when we experience intense distractions during prayer, it might actually be a sign that we're approaching spiritual heights.
Yeah.
And those negative tendencies, the guards, are trying to prevent us from reaching them.
It's like they're testing our resolve.
Wow, that's really encouraging.
Yeah.
So let's talk about imagination in prayer. The Source introduces the concept of sayur, which is creative visualization.
And this is really powerful stuff. The Zohar, which is a major Kabbalistic text, it says that the gate to holiness is through the power of imagination. It's about actively engaging our imaginations to connect with those deeper truths and spiritual realities.
It's about making those ancient words and stories come alive within us. Like really picturing the splitting of the Red Sea or feeling that sense of liberation from our own personal Egypts.
And the concept of redemptive imagination takes this even further. It suggests that our imaginations are where a lot of our self-limiting beliefs and negative patterns reside, what they call clips or husks. And by engaging our imaginations in a conscious and positive way, we can break through those limitations and access our full potential.
So it's about using our imaginations not just to escape reality, but to transform it.
Exactly. It's about seeing the world through new eyes, and in doing so, changing ourselves.
The Source offers some specific visualization practices, like imagining ourselves ascending in consciousness, expanding our visual field, or even seeing ourselves as beings of pure light. What's the purpose behind these types of visualizations?
They're all about transcending limitations. So imagining lightness and ascending, it helps us overcome the weight of our worries and anxieties. Expanding our visual field connects us to a sense of vastness and unity. And seeing ourselves as light, well, that's about tapping into our inherent purity and divinity.
It's about shifting our perspective and experiencing ourselves in a whole new way.
Exactly. And the Source also talks about hispashtas hagashmias, the divestment of materiality. This was a practice used by the early pious ones, where they would intentionally detach from bodily sensations before prayer.
That sounds intense.
It is a deep practice. It's about transcending the limitations of our physical senses and the ego's grip. And the Source outlines 3 levels of consciousness: animal consciousness, which is driven by ego and physical desires; angelic consciousness, which is a state of detachment; and soul consciousness, which is about refining the ego and connecting with the physical world from a place of spiritual awareness.
So it's not about becoming completely detached from the physical world, but about refining our relationship with it.
Exactly. And these levels, they correspond to the Kabbalistic concepts of yesh, ayin, and atzmus, being, non-being, and essence.
It's like a journey through different levels of awareness and connection.
Yeah. It's about finding that balance between the physical and the spiritual.
The Source also suggests visualizations, like imagining ourselves praying in the Beis HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, or in the Garden of Eden alongside Tzaddikim, righteous individuals. What's the power behind these visualizations?
It's about connecting with sacred spaces and drawing inspiration from those who have walked the path before us. It can really elevate our consciousness and infuse our prayers with a sense of holiness and connection to tradition. And, there's this beautiful practice of verbally declaring, "I hereby bind myself to all the tzaddikim of the generations." It's a way to tap into that lineage and draw strength from their spiritual energy.
I love that. And then there's the ultimate visualization. Seeing ourselves as a perfect tzaddik, aligned with our own Shoresh HaNeshama, our root soul, and the Or Ein Sof, the infinite light.
This is about recognizing our inherent perfection, that spark of divinity within each of us. It's about tapping into our full potential and aligning ourselves with the divine will.
It's about embodying our highest selves.
Exactly. And the source even suggests visualizing ourselves sitting in the very presence of the Shekinah, the divine presence. It's about cultivating that intimate connection, that sense of being enveloped in divine love and light.
Wow, that's powerful. And the text also talks about using images of earthly rulers as a stepping stone towards conceiving of the ultimately imageless infinite one. That's an interesting approach.
It is. Our minds tend to grasp onto concrete images. So starting with something familiar, like a powerful and benevolent king, can help us gradually expand our understanding and move towards the more abstract, imageless nature of the divine.
It's like using training wheels for our spiritual imaginations.
I like that. It's about gradually expanding our capacity to perceive and connect with the divine.
Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about nigun, wordless melodies, in prayer. How can these enhance our spiritual experience?
Nigunim are incredible. They have this unique ability to bypass the intellect and speak directly to the heart and soul. They can quiet the mind, open the heart, and create a space for deeper kavanah, deeper intention.
It's like they create a bridge between our hearts and the divine.
Yeah. And the source makes a distinction between nigunim that are directed towards the heart, which are more meditative and introspective, and those that come from the heart, which are more joyous and spontaneous.
So the type of nigun can influence the energy and focus of our prayer.
Right. And there's even a numerical connection between shira, song, and tefillah, prayer. Both have the same gematria, the same numerical value, which is 515.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
fascinating. It really highlights the deep connection between music and prayer.
Definitely.
The text also delves into body posture and movement in prayer, including the practice of shukl, the gentle swaying motion.
Swaying is so common in prayer, right? And the source suggests that it might have originated from practical reasons, like people needing to follow along when texts were scarce. But over time, it's taken on a spiritual significance. The rhythmic movement helps to focus the mind, maintain kavanah, and connect with a deeper sense of rhythm and flow.
It's like embodying the movement of prayer.
Exactly. And there's the custom of clasping our hands together right over left, above the heart.
Such a familiar gesture.
Right. It's a posture of humility, of service. And the Arizal, a great Kabbalist, he offers a deeper interpretation. He sees it as a way to subdue judgment with loving kindness.
So the right hand, which represents cheesed, loving kindness, is over the left hand, which represents din, judgment.
Exactly. It's about bringing those two forces into balance. And the Torah also talks about lifting our hands upwards in prayer.
That's a powerful image.
It is. It's a gesture of receptivity, of opening ourselves up to receive divine abundance. It's like saying, I'm here, I'm open, I'm ready to receive.
And then there's bowing, represented by the letter Daleh, which also signifies poverty and humility and prostration, nafal meaning to fall. These are such profound expressions of submission and connection.
They are. It's about surrendering to something greater than ourselves, acknowledging our smallness in the face of the divine.
And the source notes that full prostration is less common today, perhaps reflecting a diminished sense of humility and surrender.
That's an interesting observation. It makes you wonder, where are we on our spiritual journey? Are we as willing to let go, to bow down, to fully surrender?
It's a question worth pondering. The source also discusses the significance of closing our eyes during the Shema, the central declaration of Jewish faith.
Closing our eyes, it's about shutting off the external world and turning inwards. It helps us focus on listening, on really hearing those words and internalizing their message of unity.
It's about creating that inner space for deep connection.
Exactly.
Now, the source delves into this fascinating concept of the four worlds of prayer. It seems to be a way of understanding prayer on different spiritual dimensions. Can you explain that?
Sure. The idea is that prayer isn't just a one-dimensional experience. It engages different aspects of our being, and these are represented by the four worlds: Azia, Yetzirah, Bariah, and Atzilus.
So Azia is the world of action, the physical world.
Right. And Yetzirah is the world of emotions, Bariah is the world of intellect, and Atzilus is the world of unity, of divine will.
And each of these worlds corresponds to different parts of the prayer service.
Exactly. So the morning blessings, which often focus on our physical needs, that's Asiya. And as we move through the service, we ascend through the worlds, culminating in the Amida, the standing prayer, which connects us to Atzelis, the world of unity.
It's like a spiritual journey, a ladder of ascension.
Yeah, it's about unifying all aspects of ourselves, bringing our body, our heart, and our mind into alignment with the divine.
And the text also talks about this dynamic movement between yira, awe, or fear, and ahava, love. It's like a spiral moving back and forth between these two poles on increasingly deeper levels.
That's the beauty of spiritual growth, right? It's not linear. We keep circling back to those core principles, but each time we come back, we have a deeper understanding, a more refined perspective.
It's like a spiral staircase leading upwards.
Yeah, I like that image.
The idea of redemptive prayer was also really interesting. It's about shifting our perspective from asking for things to recognizing that we already have everything we truly need.
It's a radical shift in consciousness. It's about approaching prayer from a place of gratitude and abundance, recognizing the inherent perfection in all things. And, when we pray for the well-being of the world, for the Shekinah, the divine presence, rather than just for ourselves, we align ourselves with the divine will and create a greater flow of blessings.
It's like stepping into a different way of being, a different way of seeing the world.
Exactly. And the structure of the Amida itself, with its 3 sections of praise, requests, and thanksgiving, it reflects this balance between acceptance, ayin, and our sense of what we still need, yesh.
So it's not about denying our needs, but about recognizing that ultimately we already have everything we truly need.
And even within the section of requests, the source emphasizes that these aren't just selfish desires, but an expression of the divine will for us to live meaningful and fulfilling lives.
So our needs become vessels for drawing divine light into the world.
Exactly. It's a beautiful concept.
The text also talks about the importance of both silence and sound in prayer, referencing Elijah's experience of the still small voice after the wind, earthquake, and fire.
It's a powerful reminder that prayer isn't just about words. It's about creating a space for deep listening, for connecting with that inner stillness where we can hear the whispers of the divine.
It's about balancing the active expression of our hearts with the receptive silence where true connection happens.
Yeah. And Kabbalistically, the mouth and the power of language are linked to Malchus, the realm of manifestation. But true change, it originates in the divine Ayin, the realm of silence, of limitless potential.
It's like that saying, in the beginning was the Word, but before the Word there was silence.
And that silence is where everything originates.
The source then outlines 4 descending stages that follow the Amida: Tekanan, Ashrei, and Uva Letzion, Shir Shel Yom, and Ein Kelokenu. It's like a gradual return to the world after reaching the peak of connection in the Amida.
It's a beautiful way to reintegrate back into everyday life. Each stage takes us down a step, from Atzilus, the world of unity, back to Azia, the physical world.
So Tekanan, with its confessions, is Atzilus. Ashrei and Uvatzion, intellectual reflections, that's Bariah. Shir Shel Yom, the song of the day, engages the emotions, so that's Yetzirah. And Ein Kilokenu, a simple awareness of the divine, brings us back to Azia.
Exactly. It's a gradual descent, a gentle transition back to the world.
And finally, we have the Aleinu prayer, which marks the transition out of prayer and back into our daily lives.
The Aleinu is beautiful. It acknowledges God's sovereignty and unity throughout the entire world. It's like a final bow, a gesture of respect and gratitude as we leave the sacred space of prayer.
It's about carrying that connection with us as we go about our day.
And the source emphasizes this shift from questioning before prayer to certainty and faith during and after. The Shprema, it's like the answer to all those existential questions. It's a declaration of trust and surrender.
It's about moving from Shema, maybe, to Shema. Listen. really hearing and internalizing that message of unity and oneness.
Exactly. And, the initial recitations of offerings in the prayer service, they can be seen as a metaphorical offering of our worries and anxieties. It's like we're surrendering those burdens to something greater than ourselves, allowing ourselves to experience a state of childlike faith and trust, even amidst the challenges of adult life.
It's a beautiful way to approach prayer,
Yeah.
letting go of our fears and surrendering to a higher power.
Right. It's about trusting that we're held and supported, even when things feel uncertain.
The Source also emphasizes the need to cultivate both love and joy, alongside awe and humility in our prayer.
That's so important. They're like two wings that allow our spirits to soar. Love without awe can lack depth and reverence. It's like a vessel without structure, and awe without love can feel distant and cold.
So it's about finding that balance.
Exactly. And, the more we cultivate both love and awe, the deeper our prayer experience becomes. And the Source mentions that deep awe can even lead to tanug, spiritual delight, sometimes even manifesting as tears of pure joy.
It's like a glimpse of the divine.
Yeah, it's a sign of true connection, a feeling of being completely enveloped in divine love and light.
And finally, the Source touches on the answer to prayer. It suggests that on the level of ayin, of no-thingness, all prayers are answered through a complete acceptance of what is as God's perfect will. It shifts the focus from the outcome to the act of praying itself.
It's a radical shift in perspective. It's about recognizing that prayer isn't just about getting what we want, but about aligning ourselves with the divine will and recognizing the inherent perfection in all things.
It's about surrendering to the flow of life.
Exactly. And, our efforts in prayer are still important. It's through our conscious initiative that we draw down blessings and overcome that bread of shame, that feeling of receiving without any effort.
So we're co-creators with the divine.
Yeah, it's a partnership.
The appendices go into a bit more detail about Kavanos related to the Sephiros, the 10 divine attributes, and the Hebrew vowels. It offers a Kabbalistic lens for deepening our understanding of prayer.
Kabbalah is a fascinating world of symbolism and deeper meaning. And, those Sephiros, they're like different facets of the divine, different ways of experiencing and connecting with God's light.
It's like a map of the spiritual realms.
And the vowels, they represent different types of energy, different ways that divine light manifests in the world.
It's a whole system of spiritual language.
Exactly. And, the Source emphasizes that these are just tools, lenses through which we can perceive the divine. Ultimately, the focus should always be on Hashem alone.
It's about using those tools to deepen our connection, not to get lost in the details.
Right. And there's this concept of Yuchud, unification between Za, which represents emotions, and Malkus, which represents kingship and manifestation. This unification happens during the Amidah, and it's seen as the process through which our prayers are answered.
It's like bringing our hearts and minds together, aligning our desires with the divine will.
And the Shema plays a vital role in this process. It brings motion, intellect into the realm of emotions, which is necessary for that unification to happen.
So it's not just about feeling, it's about understanding.
Exactly. It's about bringing those two together.
And the Source concludes by mentioning 3 dynamics present in prayer. Dibur, speech, which is associated with the name Adonai, Kol, voice, linked to the name Havaya, and Kavanah, intention, connected to Ein Sof, the infinite. And together, these 3 equal Rachamin, mercy.
It's like a recipe for divine compassion. Speech, sound, and intention, when combined in a harmonious way, they create a powerful force for healing and transformation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the meaning and practice of prayer, what are some of the key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that prayer is so much more than just reciting words. It's a dynamic, multifaceted practice with incredible potential for inner transformation.
It's about creating a space for deep connection, both with ourselves and with the divine.
And there are so many tools and techniques we can use to enhance our prayer experience, from shifting our inner state to engaging our imaginations to finding those deeper meanings and intentions.
It's about making prayer come alive, making it relevant and meaningful for our lives today.
Exactly.
So for you, our listener, as you go about your day, how can you apply these principles to other areas of your life? How can you cultivate that sense of presence, intention, and connection, not just in your prayer, but in everything you do? Something to think about.
And if you're interested in exploring these ideas further, we highly recommend checking out the source material for this episode. There's so much wisdom there waiting to be discovered.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into prayer. Until next time.